Alright guys, allow me to explain how much of a procrastinator I am. I had a 4-day long weekend. Yes, 4-day, not a 3-day like usually. I actually took the extra day off to do some other stuff, and I had a 4-day weekend. Now it's 6 o'clock on a Tuesday. Tuesday, 6:30, and I've procrastinated this long to start doing this job. How far am I gonna get? Not very far. It's a condenser. Gonna replace the condenser in a Ford Escape. The reason I'm replacing it because it is leaking. I think it already leaked out all the refrigerant from somewhere around here, and AC no longer works. So, gonna replace the condenser. Install new accumulator dryer. Gonna fill it with oil, and then I'm gonna recharge it with this auto AC repair toolkit. And hopefully we'll have a working AC by the end of this video. Not by the end of the day, because it's 6 o'clock, procrastinate too long. I'm not sure how long it's gonna take, but that's why my projects span over multiple days, because I'm a procrastinator. Alright, so the bumper came off a lot easier because I was missing a lot of screws. Not my fault. I had this car at the repair shop, Penny Auto Body and Glass here in Vancouver, and when I installed the bumper, I guess they left out some bolts and nuts. Yeah, it was just one bolt here that was difficult to get to, but it was missing bolts here, 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 here. The bumper is off. Now this is the condenser that I need to remove. Usually to remove a condenser we need to discharge the system to vent, or not vent, to evacuate all the refrigerant, but I think my refrigerant has already evacuated itself, so I can just remove it and install a new one. And let's see if I can get it done before the end of the day. Alright, so after examining, I realized that the condenser is actually in the middle of two radiators. So I believe this is the radiator for the inverter, for the hybrid system. This is the condenser for the AC, and this is the radiator. So it is sandwiched in between these two. And that wouldn't be a problem removing it, except that there is this hose that goes in between these two. So I need to disconnect this hose in order to be able to get this out of this loop, and that means I will leak out some coolant. So I'm gonna try to do that quickly and minimize the coolant loss, and then refill it as soon as I have a chance. Alright, so before I disconnect the condenser, I actually wanted to connect the gauges. The gauges that connect to high pressure and low pressure lines, and just to see if there is any pressure in there. The tool for that came in this AC repair kit, so I'm gonna try to unpackage it and see if I can figure out how to use it. Alright, so in the packaging we got the gauges for the high pressure, low pressure side. We got the hoses. These 3 hoses will connect here, and the connectors that go to the high pressure and low pressure side on the car, and you can, looks like you can twist it to open and close it to open it, and this is for the can to connect. So there's high pressure, low pressure side, and vacuum or feed side, and you'll be connecting this one to the can and to the feed side, and yeah, it goes in there as far as I know. And then there's a pump. There's also oil for the pump, and this cool bag. So overall, I'm pleased. I think it was like 200 bucks for this whole thing, and I was like 200 Canadian bucks, so probably even cheaper in US dollars. So I'm gonna try to connect the hoses now, connect the gauges, and check my high pressure, low pressure side. Alright, there it is. I've connected the gauges to the high side and low side. So at first I turned it all the way to open. So to put it on, first I opened it all the way, then I installed it by pulling this and installing it, and then I closed it. So when I close it, it actually opens the valve. There's a Schrader valve in there that gets opened once you turn this thing clockwise to close. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm doing it right. It seemed like there was like a small hiss and then nothing. So I think there's nothing. And then there's, so this is the low side. Same thing to install it. You can just pull it and install it. Can't mix them up. The low side will not fit on the high side, and the high side, the high side does fit on the low side, but it doesn't lock. As far as I can tell, it is completely empty AC system. So now I'm gonna undo these bolts and disconnect the AC system, and then I'm gonna try to get it out of here between these 2 radiators, which I think is not possible without leaking some coolant. Right, fellas, I realized as soon as I take this as soon as I take this condenser out, I should put the new condenser in right away, because if I need to disconnect the coolant line to take out the condenser, I'll probably need to disconnect it again to put in condenser. But before I can put in a condenser, I gotta put some oil in it. This oil, PAC G 46. And then I thought to myself, what if the manufacturer of this condenser pre-filled it with oil? And I was like, maybe I should open it and take a look. So I started opening it, and there's pressure. There's pressure in there. I don't know why. I didn't research this. Then I'm gonna check if there's oil in there. Alright, so I opened one of the ports up and no oil coming out of there. So as far as I can tell, this is a good place to fill it up with oil. I think I need to fill in about 3 ounces for the condenser. Also I need to add about 3 ounces for the dryer or something like that. I don't even know what ounces are. How am I supposed to do this? Yeah, maybe that's something I should deal with tomorrow. So I'm gonna close this back up just so that it doesn't have any moisture or whatever build up in there. But I do think it's pretty cool that they pressurize it for shipping, and that way, like you know that it holds pressure and it's not leaking. And yeah, I get to be part of the quality assurance process. So okay, I'm gonna close it up, clean up, and maybe go to sleep for now. Alright, so I haven't even used this kit yet, but, well, haven't utilized it to charge the system, just to gauge the system, but I'm quite pleased so far. Seems like everything is good quality and comes in a bag, and the bag is able to hold everything nicely. Yeah, with the vacuum pump and everything. I think that's pretty cool. Alright, so I've removed this radiator support bracket. There's just 2 bolts right here. Did that so I can have easier access to this hose right here. See, there was a hose clamp here. Also, I've unhooked it and moved out of the way there. There's that rusty hose clamp. Just used a pair of pliers to unlock the hose, move it out of the way. And so now I have access to this hose. Gonna try to pry off this hose without breaking the radiator. And once this hose is free, I should be able to pull out this condenser. Yeah, as you can see, this radiator is out of the way, so just need to undo this hose and pull out the condenser. And yeah, in the process I'm gonna spill a lot of coolant, and let's see how it goes. So there's a new condenser and then there's the old condenser, and I'm surprised how much dirt got packed in there, like considering that this condenser sits in between 2 radiators. I don't know how does the dirt get in there. Must fly like from underneath the radiator or something. Yeah, doesn't make sense. Yeah. So yeah, gonna try to put that radiator in there. Not the radiator. I'm gonna try to put this condenser between those 2 radiators now. Almost forgot. Before I install the condenser, I need to fill it with oil. Well, not fill it with oil, but put an appropriate amount of oil in there. So that's the oil that I got. And from what I read online, I need to put 2 ounces of this stuff. And from what I calculated, 2 ounces is about 60 milliliters. And I have 60 milliliter cup right here, so I'll use that. Why is it 2 ounces? Well, 1 ounce is for the condenser and 1 ounce is for the dryer. So for replacing both of those, I need to fill it up with 2 ounces of oil. Well, actually, since I am here I want to test it. If I flip this condenser, is there gonna be oil leaking out? Because from what I've seen online, there should be oil leaking out. Oh, this is actually the back side of it. The front side is here. There. I mean, alright, I will just keep going with installation and I will see if there are any oil coming out of here. Alright, there, installed the new condenser in here. So it's sitting where it's supposed to sit. There's like channels there where it slides in at the bottom, and then I got it bolted in here right now. I wanted to bolt it in before I put the radiator in, because when I'm gonna put the radiator in, it's gonna leak a whole bunch of coolant, and I didn't want a chance having the coolant going into the AC system, because that would suck. And now, time to do the messy work of plugging this guy in and put some clamp on it. But so far I think it's going well. Still far from done. I also need to replace the dryer, but I'll just take it one thing at a time. Alright, so the task for tonight is to install this dryer accumulator. I think it's dryer accumulator, but at least it is a dryer. I know that much. And it's located right here. So it just has two hoses on top and one sensor. Should be not too difficult. And it's attached to the strut tower there with 2 bolts. So this thing is full of desiccate, which absorbs water. So if there's ever any moisture, like water, not just any moisture, if there's water, it will absorb it. If there is refrigerant, it will not absorb it. So that will make sure that you don't have water in your system if it ever gets in there somehow, or whatever the water is in there, it's gonna get absorbed. And it's recommended to replace them whenever a system is serviced, because eventually it could reach its capacity to absorb water and it will not work as a dryer anymore, or it could rupture and fail just because of being old, and then you'll have desiccate flowing through your system, clogging everything up and just messing things up. Anyway, so I'm replacing it. It should be pretty easy. The top bolts are 13 millimeter. And to the wall, this is 10 millimeter. Not to the wall, to the strut tower. And the sensor, it just unplugs, and then I will take out the dryer and I will try to remove the sensor and put it on the new dryer. Alright, I must have been like struggling with it for like half an hour, which seemed to be like really simple task, was actually not so simple. There's probably some kind of method to doing this, not just unscrewing 4 bolts. It is out of there. Because after unscrewing 3 bolts, I just couldn't get it out of there. I couldn't get the hoses off, and I couldn't get it off the bracket. So maybe there's a method to unscrewing some more pipes and stuff like that. Because there's a lot of pipes connected, there's a lot of things you can unscrew and remove. but I didn't want to remove. I want to remove as least amount of pipes possible, just to minimize the probability of me breaking something or having a leak somewhere. So that's the only pipe I disconnected. I also loosened up this valve here, removed the bracket from that. After finagling with that, was able to get it out. So now I think I might be able to open up this casing and put this guy in there, maybe. Or maybe this condenser is not meant to have a casing. I don't know, but I hope I'll be able to make it look same as it did originally. And also have to remove the sensor. The sensor goes here. Also another thing, I realized this dryer was vacuum sealed. When I opened one of these ports, I heard air rushing in. So the condenser was pressure sealed and the dryer was vacuum sealed. Alright, so yeah, I will get the move in with this. I was almost able to remove this casing without breaking it. I just cut the tabs on one side and tried to open it, but it snapped open on both sides. I'm still gonna try to reuse it. My idea was to just put zip ties around it. Maybe that will be good. But another thing I'll notice, they're actually slightly different shape. So this is the original one, this is the one I bought. And as you can see, this one's slightly taller and the taper is different. It still fits somewhat. So I still might just force it in there, zip tie it, and install it with the casing. I mean, might as well, otherwise it's just gonna go to garbage. Yeah, so whatever brand I bought this, actually, I think I might have a sticker somewhere. Yeah, so whatever brand I bought, if somebody is gonna try to repeat the same thing, should know that yeah, it's not gonna fit exactly into this casing, but there might be other brands that might be more closer match to this OEM shape of the dryer. Alright, I was able to fit it into the original casing, the non-original dryer. I'm not sure if it was noticeable how I made it work, because it's still the wrong shape, as you can see on the bottom. Yeah, that angle is wrong. What I did is just cut off the top, so now it just sticks out the top. I mean, whatever, the top is not that important. So all these pieces here, there was just some stuff on the top, now it's missing. And I like it. Fits quite well. I'm gonna put some zip ties around it and wrap it up and put it back in. So yeah, things are going well. Went to install new dryer, but I realized it's missing the studs. So there's a studs in the old dryer, and it needs some kind of torque speed, and internal torque speed. I don't have internal torques, only have external torques. But what I have is 5.5 millimeter socket, and yeah, this is just a regular 6-sided 5.5 millimeter socket, and yeah, it works well, and you're able to remove the studs. And also that actually makes me realize that it actually might be better or easier to install this without the studs, and then just put the studs in afterwards, because studs kind of get in the way of installing the hoses. So I'll just leave the studs there. So yeah, I'll connect the lines loosely, then put the studs in, and then put on the bolts on top. So I've got all the hoses reconnected. To reconnect the hoses, it's actually recommended to lube up the O-rings with some oil before reconnecting, just to make sure they don't get snagged and torn. So that's what I did. I cleaned them up, lubed up the O-rings. Well, actually, first I removed the O-rings and lubed them up and cleaned everything, and then installed the O-rings and tightened up all the hoses. Tomorrow I'm gonna do a vacuum test on this. Well, actually, I should probably put some zip ties on this case right now and tighten up more bolts, and then I'll do a vacuum test. Yeah, so it all fits. I'm quite pleased with how it is. So this casing, I mean, I guess it's not necessary to remove it because this thing kind of just sits in there by itself. It just sits in there on the solid hoses. So maybe it's not necessary because, you know, otherwise why would they make it this way? But I just want to reuse the casing because there it is. Yeah, so, oh yeah, and also the brand of the dryer. If people gonna try to replace it or maybe pick a different brand if they want to fit better, is UAC. So I've got the dryer from UAC and refrigerant oil also from UAC, and these filters all UAC, and they're made in China.